Assalamualaikum, my name is Siti Nur Aisyah binti Muhammad Zaidi and my student ID is 2020481628. First, let me tell you about background of Brunei Darussalam. Brunei Darussalam is a small country located in South Asia. Brunei consists of two parts separate on the mainland by Malaysia. The name of Borneo was given by the British. Hassan al-Bolkiah was abdicated and appointed by his father as the 29th Sultan of Brunei in 1967. He also agreed to become the Minister of Defense after Brunei achieved full independence, and the title of Paduka Sri Begawan Sultan was commemorate his service. Brunei city centre was named Bandar Sri Begawan in 1970. Brunei Darussalam is an absolute monarchy. A king or sultan is the head of state and government under an absolute monarchy. Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam, is the head of state and government as well as Prime Minister and Defense Minister. Based on the latest UN Worldometer data, a total of 441,438 people in Brunei Darussalam were recorded. But in the middle of the year, the population of Brunei was estimated at 437,479. Brunei's population is only 0.01% of the world's population, and Brunei is ranked 175 in the list of countries by population. In Brunei Darussalam, 83 per kilometer square is the destiny of the population, and the area is 5,765 km square. The majority of Brunei Darussalam's population embrace Islam, and Malay is the official language of the country. Brunei Darussalam is one of the largest oil-producing countries in South Asia. Brunei is known as a petrodollar country. Brunei Darussalam is also one of the richest countries in South Asia and in the world. Brunei Darussalam used the Brunei dollar (BND) as their currency for trading. In October 2020, the Brunei government had exported 141.5 million Brunei dollar of petroleum and 171.3 million Brunei dollar of qualified natural gas. 95% of Brunei Darussalam total export were petroleum and gas commodities. These commodities are exported to several countries such as Japan, China, Thailand, and the Republic of Korea. Brunei Darussalam also export mineral fruit, transportation, and machinery equipment, as well as chemical to various countries. Brunei Darussalam began producing petroleum for the first time in 1929. Inflation is defined as a persistent and sustained increase within the combination or average indicator of product and service in an economy. And inflation implies that there is an increase within the price of living that causes lower purchasing power. It is a situation where there is too much money chasing too few goods. Thus, there is an inverse relationship between inflation and also the worth of money. When inflation is high, the value of the cash are lower, and so on. In conclusion, inflation is a rise within the general or average indicator of product and service within the country. So, there is a formula to calculate the inflation rate.
My name is Jurati Ilma binti Zailani. My metric number is 2020457192. Is inflation rate in Brunei? The data shows the inflation rate in Brunei in 2011 until 2021. As for Brunei, the most important categories in the consumer price index, with 19% of the total weight are food and non-alcoholic beverages, and also 18.8% of transport. The index also including the housing, water, electricity, gas, furnishings, household equipment and routine, recreation and cultural activities, hotels and restaurants, miscellaneous goods and services, communication, clothing and footwear, education, and lastly, health. Strength and issue of inflation rate in 2011 until 2015. The inflation rate from 2015 until 2011 are decreasing, but for 2013 it is increased about 0.28% from 2012. The graph shows the inflation rate in 2012 of Brunei per month. In 2012, the inflation rate is 0.11%. The inflation rate is decreasing about 0.03% compared to 2011. There are some effects of the inflation rate in 2012, and one of the effects is the rising of prices of food, especially meat and cooking oil, but this was mostly countered by lower prices for clothing, education, and also for the transport. Trend and issues of inflation rate in 2019 until 2021. Based on the graph, it's shown that starting from 2019, the inflation rate for that year is negative 0.42%. Then in 2020, the inflation rate in Brunei increases as 2.36%, which makes that the inflation rate for 2020 is high. In addition, for now in 2021, the inflation rate in Brunei is 0.8%, which shows that there is a decreasing in the percentage of inflation rate with 1.14% for now. The inflation rate for this year also affect to the economic growth in Brunei.
Unemployment occurs when people in the labor force are willing to work but cannot find a suitable job. The unemployment rate indicates the number of individuals in the labor force who would like to work but are unable to expedite work. Unemployment is generally very much used as a measure of the health of a country's economy. They are said to be an economically active population made up of those who are employed and those who are unemployed. In other words, unemployment exists when there are people who are willing to work but cannot find acceptable jobs at a certain wage level. So here we can see the unemployment rate in Brunei from 2011 until 2020.
Analysis about unemployment rate in Brunei. The data shows the unemployment rate in Brunei starting from 2011 until 2020. As we know, all countries measure the unemployment rate, which means measuring the number of people actively looking for a job as the percentage of the labor force, including Brunei too. Despite being said as one of the richest countries in the world with a relatively small population and also the third largest exporter of liquefied natural gas, Brunei's unemployment rate has decreased to 4.2% in 2020. It shows that there is a steady decline of unemployment rate, which reached 9.3% in 2017, but decreased to 8.7% in 2018 and 6.8% in 2019. Causes of unemployment in Brunei. One of the factors of unemployment rate in Brunei is low qualification for some jobs. It is stated before that based on the unemployment rate, most of the job seekers that are unemployed has low qualifications such as tertiary education, vocational education, and secondary school education. This situation makes some of them who have a low qualification while facing the unemployment situation. This also can be proven based on the statement by Datuk Haji Muhammad Hamid, which the Permanent Secretary of Culture, Youth and Sports. He mentioned that among the 18,000 locals unemployed, a large number of them are those with only primary or secondary level qualification, which makes it difficult for them to find a suitable job with the qualification that they have. Such behavior of some Bruneians. Nowadays, in this modern life, we found that it is very difficult to find and have a job since the population of people also increasing there is intense competition. But in Brunei, some Bruneians are believed to still have the habit where they are being selective with the existing job opportunities. Instead of that, there is also some of them with some qualified applicants claiming unsatisfactory pay, inconvenient working hours, and unfavorable working conditions as explanations for rejecting job offers. As the impact, the unemployment rate in Brunei increasing because of these situations.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurul Arifah binti Muhammad Anwar and my ID number is 2020479346. Firstly, what does it mean by fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is a technique to affect the economy by increasing or decreasing the amount of government expenditure and taxation. Fiscal policy may be used by reducing tax rates to boost aggregate demand and drive economic growth during a recession. Now, we will look into the fiscal policy in Brunei. After concluding their yearly trip to the nation from October 30th, UMRO and Asian Agency is predicting that in 2017, Brunei's economy would experience a little improvement, driven by the expansion of oil, gas, and investment. After almost 4 years of recession, the economy finally began to rebound in 2017. This was the result of more investment in oil, gas, and private companies. Fiscal sustainability in the long run and the current oil prices rebound will lead to a better fiscal situation in 2017. The trade balance of Brunei continues in excess but is being reduced with progress made in key infrastructural and FDI projects. Exports are expected to increase in the future as oil and prices rebound somewhat, while imports are boosted by certain mega projects. There is still plenty of liquidity in the financial industry. In recent quarters, credit growth has slowed, indicating weak economic activity and is expected to recover in the future. Mission team members would like to express their gratitude to the government of Brunei Darussalam for their continued financial support of UMRO. Using the trip, UMRO was able to get a better understanding of the Brunei economy and finances. Next, definition of monetary policy. Initiative made by a country's central bank to regulate money supply and help achieve long-term growth are often referred to as monetary policy. When it comes to monetary policy, there are two distinct ways to approach things: expansionary or contractionary. Monetary policy in Brunei. Brunei Darussalam's monetary system is backed by the Brunei Darussalam Singapore Currency Ineligibility Agreement. Impact exchange rate regimes, currency boards back up the whole quantity of currency issued in the economy with an equivalent amount held in a currency board reserve. Brunei Darussalam's local currency is pegged to the Singapore dollar at par. Because the Singapore dollar acts as the anchor for the Brunei dollar, Singapore's monetary policy directly affects the monetary situation in Brunei Darussalam. Singapore's monetary policy is guided by the currency exchange rate. Macroeconomic stability has benefited from the long-standing monetary policy framework based on the Currency Ineligibility Agreement. As a result of the Currency Ineligibility Agreement, Brunei Darussalam and Singapore have the world's only currency boards. The Currency Ineligibility Agreement mandates both countries' central banks and authorized banks to accept and exchange each other's currency at par value and without charge for their own currency. As a consequence, Singapore accepts the Brunei dollar as legal currency, whereas Brunei Darussalam accepts the Singapore dollar as a legal tender. The deal removes currency rate issues between the two countries, which will usually create uncertainty and jeopardize business cooperation investment. Additionally, it reduces the cost of doing business between Brunei Darussalam and Singapore, promoting tourism, commerce, and investment.
My name is Nur Alina Syahda binti Muhammad Sukiman. My matric number is 2020895626.
The suitable policies to control unemployment and inflation in Brunei is monetary policy. For controlling the unemployment rates of the country is monetary policies, and it also refers to a policy that uses the central bank's management of supply money as a tool for attaining the overall economic policy's goal. With central bank's regulation, monetary policy may attempt to attain the optimal level of employment and output, price stability, balance of payment equilibrium, or other government economic policy goals. The central banks affect the total volume and pricing of prime credit through affecting commercial banks' cash and defer reserve
in their economy. As with other open economies in Brunei, the recommended option for monetary policy is an exchange rate policy. It is important for Brunei to ensure exchange rate stability as it has total export covering around gross domestic product. The oil and gas sector attributes 90% of this export. Brunei has held a currency board arrangement (CBA) with the Republic of Singapore for the past 5 decades. Under CIA, the domestic currencies of the countries are regular tenders in other countries, where the monetary authority of each country is required to accept the currency of another country, equivalent and without charge. While for unemployment, Brunei government continues to employ about half of the local labor force and to provide a diverse range of policy subsidies operations. The government sector's relatively high levels of salary continue to stymie economic diversification. The pay gap between the private and public sectors continues to be a significant deterrent to working in the private sector. Investor in agriculture and total manufacturing activities, the non-oil and private sectors has been provided incentive even against non-taxes. To attract foreign direct investment, the Brunei Economic Development Authority has adopted a new approach and job creation in a few large projects that can capitalize on Brunei's proven gas reserve and the global net foreign direct investment of more than 1 billion in 2002 was submitted by the authorities. Then, in 2003, it tripled to more than 3 billion. With this, the recovery of investment from the first of these decades has shown a sharp increase and is much higher than pre-crisis levels. Next is inflation. Inflation is an economic and aggregate demand has impacted by an interest shock and change in base of money supply under a currency board arrangement. However, monetary policy of money due to the endogeneity of interest rates and money supply, even for the opposite, will play a more important role. The level of interest rates is a determinant in the supply and demand of credit that will enhance the demand for money. While there is a decline in credit demand, they will diminish. Instead, when credit supply increase, interest rates will fall, but when credit supply decrease, interest rate will rise. Interest rate levels are also affected by inflation. More interest rates will rise because inflation rates are higher. Because lenders will demand higher interest rates in order to lower the purchasing power of the money. The power of the money they have paid for the future. This will happen. So, for the Brunei, monetary policy is more suitable to control the unemployment and inflation problem.
To conclude, as time goes on, inflation decreases the value of each currency unit, resulting in increased prices for goods and services. Today's economies, whether emerging or already developed, experience inflation. Inflation and price increases are the biggest challenges the globe faces today. In addition, because of a multitude of factors, including rising inflation, today's rate of inflation is greater than it has been in the past. Inflation has been happening throughout these years with a very high unemployment, a condition which was just recently introduced. Thus, it has been very difficult to manage. When price inflation is significant, there will be trouble in the economy unless wage growth outpaces it. And I think that's all from us. And